So what I've done here, Gord, is I've taken the liberty of writing a blog about the new record. But before I publish it, I want you to help me proofread it.
Okay.
Okay? So I'll read it, and I'm looking for your input, and I'm actually looking for you to correct my mistakes.
Spelling and grammar?
Spelling and grammar, historical references, and just add what I couldn't put in. So I'll just start reading, and we'll see how it goes, okay?
Lots of care and consideration you don't see a lot.
I'm trying.
Proofreading and stuff.
Well, this is an opportunity to pretty much write your own review. So here we go. While the Tragically Hip takes a break, Gord has gone on another walkabout with his personal muses. The result is a third solo album to go with...
Wait. No, you're good.
Is a third solo album to go with Coke Machine Glow and Battle of the Nudes. The new record is called The Grand Bounce. And once again, he's joined by My Dinner is Ruined, who works as the Country Miracles when they're back in Gord in the studio and on the road. So far, so good?
With additions.
With additions.
Yeah.
Production on this record was handled by Chris Walla, the guitarist in Death Cab for Cutie. Gord and Chris met at the Pemberton Festival out in BC last year. After that encounter, Gord somehow came to believe that they were destined to make a record together someday, and after an impetuous phone call, it came to be. And then Chris drove all the way from...
That makes me sound a bit like an asshole, though.
Okay, so after a...
You're good.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
He drove all the way from Portland to be part of the project. Now, a word of warning to anyone who slept through their literature, film, or history classes. You will miss the subtleties, references, and tributes to people like the late poet Al Purdy, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Custer in the Battle of Little Bighorn, and a few other literate things. This is where I'm kind of hoping you're going to fill in some blanks, because I slept through some of those classes myself.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Gord is a poet as well as a lyricist, and it's been my experience that poets hate having to explain themselves because what they say is about the words what they say is about how the words feel rather than what they say. Still, there will be questions, so with the release date still 3 weeks off, here's a Gord approved, I'm hoping, track-by-track preview of what to expect from the 13 tracks. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't believe a word of that, but, you know.
You don't?
No.
No, what part? The bit about being a poet, or...?
No, it's all good. I wrote it, basically. I think that's from my bio that I wrote, which
lot?
I proofread, read, proofreaded thoroughly.
Okay. So, let's start with The East Wind. After some distant studio chatter, the songs begin with one of the most astute meteorological observations I've ever heard in a song. An east wind is the laziest wind. It doesn't go around you, it goes through you. And that's absolutely true if you live in the Great Lakes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a biting, cold wind. And that was told to me by a farmer, so you know it's true. Those guys understand such things. And it's almost verbatim his words, not mine. It's one of those sort of situations where he said something, he saw my eyebrow go up and said, "You can use that." And I quickly proffered a contract, he signed, and we're good. But that's something he said, and the rest of the song, should I take it in turn? Do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is a collection of just that, found objects, quotes from the late Al Purdy, from Walter von Tilburg Clark, who wrote the Oxbow Incident. So the second verse is, night is like a room. It makes the little things inside your head too important. That's Walter von Tilburg Clark, who wrote the Oxbow Incident, which was made into a film by William Wellman,
1940-something, right?
1943, Alan.
Okay, see?
Lost to which film for Best Picture Oscar?
1943? Okay, Casablanca was 42.
Casablanca is correct. How do you do it?
Oh.
It's very...
wow, okay.
Yeah. Very generous game show I run.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let me just muse an idea. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Final answer.
Okay. Moon over Glenora, my piece. For those unfamiliar with Ontario geography, Glenora is a village east of Picton, where Gord has a place. It's in Prince Edward County, in the eastern part of the province along Lake Ontario. It's a scenic place right next to Lake on the Mountain Provincial Park. I know how to use Google Maps.
Wow.
A vocal from, is it Julian Dorian, the female vocal on this?
Julie Dueron,
Oh, sorry.
ex of Eric's Trip, and solo artist in her own right. High acclaim.
Her voice floats in and out over a subtle line on a Fender Rhodes.
Nice.
I'm guessing that this was inspired by one of the nights of the 2-week recording session for this album that took place last August, and I wrote here, you can practically smell the campfire and the charred Shopsy's hot dogs.
That's good. You sure you need me
Well,
for this?
I'm just getting I want to make sure I get it right.
I have to back up to the East Wind too, though,
Oh, okay.
because Al Purdy, the third verse, is "No, I do not love you, hate the word, the private tyranny inside a public sound," which is from Necropsy of Love by Al Purdy, from The Caribou Horses, the book that made him famous. And of course, every Canadian, every listener knows who he is.
The unofficial Canadian Poet Laureate.
And if they don't, whose fault is that?
Well, it's our school system, so I'm going to blame that.
Well, all right. We'll get to that.
are you-
But anyway, so there's a song made up of 3 quotes that I like, and I think that in and of itself shows you kind of what I'm generally trying to do, is just collect, be ample and generous to these people that have given me things over the years, things I've held on to. Yeah. Anyway.
Aren't you restoring a cabin that Al Purdy once used to own?
I'm not, but there is a group that are trying to raise money to rehabilitate the A-frame that Al built with his bare hands with wood he found in the dump in Ameliasburg, which is Prince Edward County, and they're going to turn it into a writer's retreat for poets and writers to go there and write the things that we need, and they would have a little honorarium to work with, and the only obligation would be to do some readings in the area of the work that they produce from Al's old cabin on the lake there in Ameliasburg.
That's pretty cool. You don't hear about a lot of poets' retreats in this country.
No, and I mean that's a big part. If you go to the website where they're, attempting to raise the interest and money to save Al's place, they talk about the various landmarks that have been torn down. Hugh McLennan's house, and
Right.
But I think they try and preserve some of these places for that exact reason, to part landmark but part usable place, again, for people to create this stuff that we need.
The third song on the record is As a Mover. And I write here, Chris Wallace touches a parent with the long, slow, gentle lead-up that would not sound out of place on a Death Cab for Cutie song. Brushes on the snare and cymbals, clickety-clack below, long, languid Hammond organ chords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, Chris is, as I've said, is a real gem as a guy. I mean, I thought he was just sort of nice and authentic and wonderful and warm to me. But watching him, I think he's like that with everybody. And he, without hesitation, agreed to do this project, and we talked on the phone over many months. And he drove from Portland to Lake Ontario to do it. And it was just a wonderful experience. I had an inkling that he and the band, the Country of Miracles, which is Dale Morningstar, John Press, Dave Clark of The Dinner Is Ruined, as you mentioned, but Julie Dueron and Josh Finlayson make up the Country of Miracles. I thought they would all fit well and we'd have a good time. Ultimately, I think it's the company, that's the reason you do these things. The making of the record itself is company. I just put the finishing touches on this record about a week ago, and I miss it because it's great company, these things, when you're doing them. The session itself was 2 weeks long, and what you hear is a result of how great that felt, I hope. That's what you hear.
Well, if you go through a couple of these other songs, I think that comes out of it, because there seems to be some imagery here about Canadian summers, people in the evening, in the morning. There's a sense of company and community here. Camaraderie, maybe that's the word I'm looking for.
And I mean, the Death Cab reference isn't too far wrong. I mean, in just the way Chris mixes, he likes to turn corners with every 4 bars. He likes to introduce something, take something away, reveal layers, and the mix unfolds gradually, and I think beautifully. Yeah.